What is up, everyone? We are back with episode 23 of Smoke and Meteoras. My name is Marissa, and I am your host. And this is the podcast where we talk the moments that matter and the struggles the talents face on the rise. This week, I am joined by none other than Tony Deppen. Thank you so much for joining us, Tony. How are you doing today?
I'm not doing too bad, just being old and tired all the time. That's what happens when you get old, though, I guess.
I'm not quite there yet, but I guess so.
I'm up there.
So I start all of these podcast stuff the same way, but I'm going to start this one a little different. So I just got off of a special edition episode with somebody that you had posted you wanted a match with. And he went to go message you about it, but you have him blocked on Twitter. So he wanted me to ask you, why is KJ Orso blocked on Twitter?
I have him blocked?
Yeah.
That's weird. It's really weird because, I know we messaged on Twitter before.
He said you were blocked. You had him blocked.
Oh, buddy, I'm talking. Sorry. That's weird. I don't remember blocking him because, I remember I was supposed to wrestle him back in November, and I think we were talking online about it.
Hi.
Maybe something happened along the way. Social media is weird and blocks random people all the time.
Yeah, so I'll unblock him. I completely didn't even realize that because, the only thing I mute people every so often. That's about it. Cassius, can you go away, please?
Why?
Because I'm talking. So that might be the only thing, but I'll unblock him. Sorry. Nothing against him. I like him. He's fun to watch. So I have no idea how that happened. So,
all right.
Sorry.
So let's go back to the very, very beginning. If current Tony were to sit down with year one Tony, what would surprise him the most?
Everything. There wouldn't be anything that surprise. If I told day one Tony, I'm like, so let's even to the bottomest tier things. I'll be like, hey, you got to wrestle CZW, and he'll be like, are you fucking kidding me? We made the CZW, and then if you're like, yo, dude, we were Campeones de Parejas in Shikara, I'd be like, dude, shut the fuck up. And then if I even said I got somebody to pay for my flight, I'd be like, you're crazy. And then he'd be like, oh, you've been overseas how many times? And you've wrestled some of the greatest wrestlers going in the past 20, 30 years. And you've done almost everything. I wouldn't even believe if you told me you wrestled out of the state of Pennsylvania, to be honest. It wasn't indie wrestling is definitely not the same because it's changed drastically. And I mean that in a good perspective of wrestling. They're not oh, I can't believe this changed. I generally love seeing that there are wrestlers before you even have your first real match, you can already have training matches to show promoters and you don't have to wait to get media. In my first matches, it was always a battle royal and then some old vet beat you up and you couldn't really use that media. And the only way you can get media if you brought your own camera. So it was extremely difficult to do a lot of stuff. So it's really cool to see the evolution there. So I wouldn't have believed anything I've done just because. If you told me I could get my matches at the drop of a hat, I'd be like, you're a liar.
So what is some type of advice that younger you would have completely ignored, but you now definitely takes into consideration?
I tell them to slow it down and also get your head out of your ass. That'd be a thing to say. Don't be afraid to take criticism from other people. And also don't get yourself riled up when one of those people, if they're rude to you, especially if you did think they were significant, but then actually you watch back, no, they're actually just really bad and they got a place somehow. And, so I was just don't take that to heart. Because those guys suck.
So, what is something that you thought mattered in the past but realized it does not?
All the cool moves. Like that's like because I used to do some pretty cool stuff. Like, and I'm not trying to be one of those old guys like, oh, back in my day, I used to be able to just like, no, actually, like if you watch a lot of my old stuff, like I could do a lot of lucha libre and a lot of difficult and complex spots. Like, but now looking back, I'm like, it doesn't really matter, but also it is cool to look back and look at yourself that you've done that. Like, it was like, wow, like I was like, it's one of those things like, because I obviously have children because my son is right over here,
Hi, buddy.
and um, like you always heard the stories of the father going be like, oh, back in my day, I used to be quite the other, and there was like, oh yeah, sure, dad. And now I can say, like, I'm not just saying that. I could pull up that stuff, and they'll be like, wow, you were doing really cool moves, like. So I would just go back and be like, hey, the moves do matter to a point, but they're worry about your character, and that'll take you further.
So, was there ever a version of success that you ever had to unlearn along your journey?
In what context do you mean?
Whether it be going balls to the wall and doing all those crazy moves and having successful matches, but then realizing like it was taking a toll on your body and having to reinvent yourself in a different
No,
way.
no. See, I've minus the time I broke my arm with Zack Saber. My body is holding up very well for doing this for 20 years. Like, I don't hurt. I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, my body's shutting down, I have to change up anything. Like, I still at 38, I feel my body's in its prime. Like, I don't wake up with aches and pains. I don't. You know, I think the worst I have is like my neck from having a terrible pillow. Like, that's the worst pain I get, but that's a super easy fix. So like I never had to worry about that, to be honest. And like, and it's weird. It's really weird to say like all of my success came at once. Like, it wasn't like a gradual like thing, because I've been doing it for so long, and I never like the most money I ever made, and I was 6 or 7 years in, and I think the most I made was like $30, if that. Eh, So like one of the first shows I did that got me on the map was On Point Wrestling, and I got $40, and I was just like, oh my god! I texted my buddies. I started like, yo guys, I didn't even have to ask for this. They gave me $40, and like they're all like, dude, you made it. That's so awesome. Congratulations. And then like a couple weeks later, I got $100 payday, and I was just like, I remember getting paid. Some promoter paid me $5 in quarters. And then when we all laughed about it, his wife yelled at us, said, my kids aren't going to be eating because you guys got paid. And then I was just like, why are you running a show if your family can't afford to eat? I got yelled at for that, but well. So like, and then after that, it was like GCW came about, and same with, or it was CZW, then GCW, and it was just like bang, bang, bang. And then I was with GCW before they took off. Like, I was the guy there when we were wrestling in front of 30, 40 people because nobody showed up. And then it just exploded. Like, there's very long downtime of no success. Like, I'd wrestle maybe 3-4 matches a month, or 5, and I'd be like, wow, it's a really good month, but I had lost all that money. And then all of a sudden, it's like out of nowhere, it's like, hey, come to the show, come here, come here, come here, come here. It's just like 0 to 100. That's for sure.
So, what is something that you wish somebody had warned younger you about in this business?
How hard it is to leave. Like, legit, like, it's very difficult to, like, you'll be like, even if you're like, you're down in your luck, like, oh man, I'm freaking down, I'm done with wrestling, like, because everything sucks when you're down. And then you tell people you're done, and then like 6 weeks later, you're doing something and you have a match, like, oh my god, this is why I love this stuff. And then like if you're out of wrestling and then you're watching, you're like, man, I just want to be in that ring. I just want to be in that ring. Like, it always just comes back to it. Like, I can't, like, I remember when I broke my arm, people were like, oh, do you want to come to this show? I was like, no. And they're like, why? I was like, I can't watch wrestling. Be like, I just want to wrestle. I'm like, I'll end up wanting to get it in there. I'm like, and I shouldn't. So it's very difficult to ever say no to this business or leave it, in my opinion, if you're very much in love with it.
So, after finding your footing in the business and making your debut, when was the point where you felt like you had finally found your voice as a wrestler?
There's two times. So when I first started wrestling, I wanted to be a baby face because I was just like, oh, freaking, I want to do all the cool moves. And they always said heels don't do cool moves back then. It's like you had the baby face does all the cool moves. So I was in a three-way. It was me, a guy named JC Wessler, and Jamie Magnum, and we all wanted to be a baby face. And I was already in for probably a couple months, maybe a year, and we're all just arguing. And the older vet guy comes by. He's like, "What are you guys arguing about?" We're like, "Who? We're deciding who's being the heel." And he looks at me and he's like, "Tony, you." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Your face. You look like an asshole." I was like, "Cool." So then I was a heel for a pretty long time. I've pretty much always been heel. Like I do have my tweener times and stuff like that, but I've always really done heel work. And the one time it was right, it was maybe like this. It was GC. It's like GCW's like fourth or fifth show. I can't remember. And um, I just came back from like a suspension from GCW because I accidentally took a booking over theirs that was close to my house, and I made more money and stuff like that. And I got booted from CZW or GCW for a bit, and then Brett and Danny brought me back. But like that show, I got brought back, and the fans started to. That was when they were starting to get a little more like involved in the show. Like they're excited, like that feel, that GCW feel that you got. And I came back, and like I had new gear, and I had a match. It was me, Smiley. Oh man, Eli Everfly and somebody else. And the finish was like, because I won the Extreme title, so um, the finish happens. I throw Eli Everfly out of the ring. Like I'm supposed to, and then I was going to steal the win. And the referee he went out of the ring to check on the wrestler instead. Stop. Go downstairs now. Thank you. And so I throw him out of the ring, and then the ref jumps out of the ring to like check on him, and literally like kills the entire finish because I'm in the ring waiting to be counted to win because I stole the pin, and he's nowhere to be found. And I jump out of the ring, grab him, I throw him in there, like get the fuck in there. 1, 2, 3 happens. I'm legitimately hot, like I'm pissed because like you ruined the finish and stuff like that. And I'm walking in the back, and Smart Mark Video's there, and they have a camera, and they put the camera. I'm like, Tony, we want a promo. And I turn around, and I was so pissed. I'm like, you want a fucking promo? And I just got like big eyes and just like, boisterous, like I've never found that voice before. And then camera goes off, and Janelle stops and goes, Tony, do that all the time. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I just got real animated with my facials and like, be more like my voice is out there more and stuff like that. So like those are two moments where I was like, oh, okay, I found my footing as the heel at one spot, but now I felt my footing like legitimately in wrestling.
So, did you ever feel pressured to be something that you weren't?
Yeah, a lot of times in the beginning they're just like, hey, baby face, because I'm not a big person to begin with now, but when I first started, I was even smaller. I was like 135 pounds, so really small. So it'd always be, Tony, your baby face, go get beat up by the big guy. And it just never clicked with me to be a baby face until like you can actually like, if you can get that crowd, but like behind you to begin with. But like, I look like an asshole, so that never helped. So like, as many handshakes I tried to do with babies and stuff at the time, it just didn't click. Like, a different time of wrestling, and they just wanted to see other things.
So, what is something that wrestling forced you to learn about yourself as a person?
Quite a few things, because I actually feel like wrestling has shaped me in a positive way. Like, I've been able to experience different cultures and diversity in the world. And like, I'm from a very small town in Pennsylvania, like 7,000 people. So obviously we're not dealing with people who are very friendly, like LGBT community friendly, and like Black lives and stuff like that. Now there are more Black people now. Like, I remember growing up, there's two Black people in my entire city. So like, it wasn't the greatest city, but like, coming from there, and I'm able to be very open to the world and experience and just like bring different cultures into my life. Like, I love that type of stuff. I don't know if that was one reason that I love wrestling so much, is because I got to be showered with that type of stuff. But like, that's one big thing that really helped me, is like, I feel like it really shaped my worldly view, and just being like, what's the point of anything? Like, why are we so mean to each other and stuff like that? Because I've been to 10 different countries in 35 states. So like, I've gotten to see a good chunk of the world, and all I've ever been met with is like happiness and from other people, and really small, tight knit communities, which is awesome. And then another thing, it was probably like, be more open minded towards like other people's opinions. Like, unless you're a complete narcissist, which there are in wrestling, they want wrestling to be done their way and their way only. But like, I would like, when I would go into, say, I'd wrestle a younger kid, I'd be like, hey, what do you want to do? And they're like, whatever you want to do. I was like, no. Give me your insight, because I think what shapes you as you into a better person is like other people's perspectives on your pathway to the end goal. Like, the way I wrestle is completely different than the way that a Jungle Boy would wrestle, like different minds. So I'd be like, hey man, be cool if we do this. And they're like, dude, that does sound good, but what if we like do this right here instead and then go here? And I'm like, man, I didn't even think about it, because like, I see wrestling through my own vision. But then somebody else is allowed to alter mine by just giving me their opinion, and I realize if their opinion actually makes sense into our goal, to get to our end goal, then nothing else really matters. So like my friends always say, I'm like the most subjective friend out of all of them, because like, you could just, or not subjective, objective friend out of all of it, all of us, because it's just like, they're like, okay, if I'm gonna go to Tony because I'm having a problem. They know if like they're being the asshole, but they don't think they are, I'm gonna be like, no, you are the asshole. Like, I've always been that person now, and I think that's one thing from wrestling, to be honest, just by allowing other people to give their opinions in like the match, or an angle or something else, anything that could better the product.
So, what is a match that you feel stuck with you emotionally?
Like, personal or
Yes.
okay. Let's see here. Mm, Probably one of the first times I wrestled, the guy that him and I broke in together, Andy Harner. The first match him and I, not the first, but I think it was like the third match, I think. But it was like the first time it was for a title, like any title. Like, it was a no name title, but I still, like, I got to win it, so like, it was significant. But like, we were scheduled to be main event, and the two people in the main event, or that were in the semi-main event, complained. They're like, why are we the semi-main event? We should be main event. And there was like, they politicked their way to be main event. And the promoter came up like an hour before the match and like, hey, you guys are semi-main event now. And I look at him, I was like, I ain't changing a fucking thing we're doing. I'm like, we were main event. And the promoter was like, don't. And we went out and we did that. It was probably one of the best matches I've ever done in my life at the time. And I was like proud of it. We went like 30 minutes and like, we killed it. We get in the back and all the boys was like, yo, that was the fucking main event. Like, They're like, fuck this main event and stuff like that. And the main event got really mad about it. And then also like a significant part of that match is like a guy that him and I always butted heads in wrestling because like he was a larger fella, you know, he wasn't exactly skinny and stuff like, and he couldn't really do much and stuff, but he was a good friend of mine, sort of like we just kind of like clashed too much though, but we became really good friends afterwards. Um, he despised my wrestling, like absolutely hated my wrestling, like thought I was the worst, the drizzling shits. And during that match, like he's sitting next to my brother because my brother also used to wrestle as well. Um, he's sitting next to my brother and that guy, and my brother's like, "Yo, that entire match, he's pounding on the table. He's like, God, this fucking match rules." And then like he's mimicking calling this, and he's like, "Yeah, this match fucking rules." And like, and I was just like, I'm like, Dave said that, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, like he won't admit it, but he was marking out for you." And I'm just like, hell yeah. Like it was always like, I got you, Dave. And sadly, he passed away a couple years ago. But I just that was like a significant match for me. So I was like, oh, I finally got Dave's approval. And then probably when I did one of my first on point wrestling match, it was once again with Andy Harner because him and I just clicked so fucking well. Like him and I just the chemistry's great. We did on point match for the Mats 2015, and it was last minute we got added because like I met the Matt Tremont and Loudy who run On Point Wrestling at King of the Death Match because my buddies and I went just to watch because we graduated college. We're like, let's celebrate, blah blah blah. And we saw Matt and we saw Tremont and my one buddy. He's like, Tony, talk to him. Like he runs a company. I was like, I'm done wrestling. You know, I don't make any money. I don't get bookings. So, like I was literally tapped out. I was like, I'm gonna be done. And my buddy goes, yo, Matt, and he's like, what? And he's just like, Tony wrestles. And Matt's like, oh, show me some of your stuff. So I brought up some videos, and Matt's like, oh, hit me up. I run On Point. And the amount of times I've heard in wrestling is like, oh, brother, hit me up. I'll get you a booking type thing. I'm always like, yeah, whatever, dude. Totally ignored it. And the next month we went to GCW's, their first ever show with the NGI. And once again, there to watch. And Loudy was there, and Loudy's taking a piss. And my buddy once again goes, hey, Loudy, Tony wrestles. And he's like, send me your stuff. So I did. And then a few weeks later, they reached out to Andy and I like, hey, come out and do this match. We didn't ask for money. We just went out and got $40. We flipped out how awesome it was. But we did that match, and instantly everybody's like, hey, you guys have to come back like next show. And we're just like, and they're like, next show, you guys are semi-main event. And we're like, are you serious? And then next after show of that, we're main event. And like during that time because like we just went out and did a bunch of cool stuff, and everybody had like, and I didn't know a single person in that locker room. They were all strangers to us, and we got in the back, and people were just like, "Who the fuck are you guys?" And like they were like, "Who? Like what? Like?" Because I guess we stole the show, and Janela was like on like 2 matches after mine, I think, and he walks out and he goes, "How about that fucking Tony Deppen guy?" And I was just like, "Oh," I was like, "Cool." I was like, "I didn't know he said that." So like it just sticks because that was like, oh no, like all the times that those shitty guys put you down on the shindies, they were wrong. Like so that was one like, no, like this is right. I am not bad. So like I'd put those two, and more recent, I don't know, like there's just so many with just like significance and like just like some like a wrestling fan, like wrestling like Zack Sabre or the Great Sasuke or Masato Tanaka or stuff like that. But like it's very difficult, more recent. Maybe when I got the debut in Italy, because that was on my own. Like that wasn't through like me doing a show with GCW or anything. That was them hitting me up, and they're like, "Hey, we want to bring you into Italy," and I'm just like I said, I'm from a 7,000 people town, and I'm just like, somebody's gonna fly me to Milan, Italy. Holy shit!
So, what's a match that taught you something difficult, whether that be about yourself or about the business in general?
You like some of the dark matches I did for AEW and Ring of Honor, it really, showed that like I can be a team player in life. It's like because I always went out and they'd like, hey, again I know almost everybody that works at AEW because they were people that came around when I was where I was at and stuff. And I remember like there's quite a few guys that come up to me and like they're like, Tony, it's like 2 minutes and like you're not getting anything. And I was like, it's okay, guys. I'm not here for myself. And they're just like, dude, we're just so sorry. So it just showed I could be a team player with anybody. And then I also like showing me a team player. Like I wrestled Ron Funches and I was able to get myself through a match with that. And that was just not me being by like, I was like, I'm going to do everything. I explained things and we made it work together. Like that was like, I think everything clicked with that match. That was a lot of fun. So like, I think being a team player is like, honestly, one of the biggest things I realized, because if you would have told me that also like 20 years ago when I started, like, oh, you're gonna be open to people being like, oh, it's okay to you not to do anything. You'd be like, I'm not gonna say that, but here I am. I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll take 30 moves in 10 seconds and lose. I think business wise, it's really weird. Why? No, I guess the business side would be Ron Funches. It shows that like I didn't really need anything to get it to what we had. Like that was just him and I from a podcast before. Like he was making fun of me because I still have a Hotmail, and we kept joking around online. And like he would say stuff on Twitter, and I would just like fire back at him. And he messaged me, he's like, "Hey Tony, do you want to like try to do a match? I've always wanted to wrestle." And I was just like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, we just have to find somebody who wants to take the risk on that. And like we were actually contemplating Ring of Honor first. Like we were gonna reach out to Ring Up because I was, doing the TV title stuff. I was just like maybe Ring of Honor, and before I could even reach out to Ring of Honor, because I was mainly working with them a lot. Like I didn't stop doing GCW stuff, but I like was like, okay, I'm almost signed here. Like you guys worry about the next generation type thing, whatever. But we're still in good terms and stuff. But like I was working with Ring of Honor more, so I kind of was talking about that. And the one day Ron said something on Twitter, and we were doing Chicago. GCW was gonna do Chicago because something with I think AEW was there, or something like that. I can't remember. And so Ron said something, and I fired back, and Brett's like, Tony, do you really have a problem with me? He's gonna be on the show Saturday. And I was like, no, we actually wanted to see about doing a match. And he's like, seriously? I was like, yeah. So like all we did was just keep talking, and we just showed like, and I was able to get paid more money because I was able to sell more pay-per-views for Brett. So Brett gave me a bigger cut, which was nice. So I was like, it showed me like the business side of it. Is like, oh, if I actually like am able to like not do as much but get paid more, like, oh, holy hell, like that made more sense.
So, what is a moment that made you feel like you finally belonged in this business?
Ooh. That time when I won the Ring of Honor TV title, it sucks because like I wanted to experience that with fans, but it was, it was the COVID shows and stuff like that. So like I won that, I remember, and rolling out of the ring, and I turn around, it's like Dickinson, Brody, and Homicide, because I was in Violence is Forever. And I was just like, man, I was like, I finally did it. Like, holy hell. Like, I felt like I made all the right sacrifices. Because I have made a lot over my time, but I never felt they were worth it until then. Daddy? Go downstairs now. Holy heck. Buddy. Yeah, whatever. Thank you. I appreciate it. But then when the one time I did after Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, I came out. I was doing the pre-show, and I I walk out for the pre or so it's I'm not gonna name the guys because I love the guys and I don't want to like kind of like seem like it's like I'm trying to embarrass them or like flake on them or something like that. But I did a opening match pre-show thing, and I come out and fans just, oh yeah, Tony, like because they didn't expect me to be there, like they're getting excited, and then while because it was a trios match, and while the first two people in the ring, people were chanting my name while I'm not in the ring, and I'm just like, I was just like, this is weird. I was like, because like I'm not signed or anything, and like they're chanting for me. I was like, this is so surreal. And then I get in the back, people are like, yo, what was with that pop? I was like, I wish I could tell you. But that was like, wow, like from a small town, and that many people cared about you. Like that was like a surreal moment to me.
So, what is a side of the business that fans never get to see or maybe misunderstand?
I think they don't understand the sacrifices that the wrestlers' significant others go through. Like that's always been a thing. Like my wife and I discussed, she's like, I wish I had a podcast where like I would just talk about the sacrifices the wives or the girlfriends make when when their men are away, or if the females, the wrestler and shit, they have a male at home or whatever. Like it's very difficult. Like I don't think people understand that. Like because there is a point in my times like when I was at my peak with wrestling, I was I was gone like 20 days a month most days, and this was being an independent wrestler. Like I was never home, and that probably did have a strain on my wife's our marriage for a little bit because like I was never home. Like so, I'm glad I kind of like took a step back a little bit ago because like I just needed to worry about my family, because I missed some like pinnacle moments for my children and stuff like that, and I feel like I needed to repair my wife and I because like we're always at each other's throat because we were never home, you know, and I understand that. So like that's one thing with wrestling. So it's like yeah, like I wish sometimes you'd hear more about the significant other talk about how it affects them. Like
So, no, I'm sorry, continue.
no, I was just saying never mind. Sometimes I go on tangents.
All right. So, what part of wrestling is mentally harder than people realize?
So there's two to me. The grind, like everybody looks at us like, oh, you're especially like I'm not gonna use the people driving every weekend because those guys, everyone knows that sucks. Like you're going 13 hours one way, then 12 the next, then back. That's not. Everyone knows that's not luxurious. But like the flying, like it's not ideal. It's not fun. Like that actually takes more off your career than the actual wrestling aspect. Because it's just like I remember, I'd start Thursday at Beyond, but my friend and I drove up to Boston or Worcester. Then
I was gonna say it right, Worcester. I'm
Worcester,
from there.
yeah, Worcester, and then I would go to the Boston airport and then fly to Chicago. Then I go Chicago to like San Diego or LA or San Francisco, and then Sunday I would go to the Pacific Northwest or sometimes the mid like Texas and everybody wants to save as much money as they can. So promoters were booking you like if the cheapest flight was at 5:30 in the morning and the show ended at 1, guess what? You're making that 5:30 flight. Like
Yep.
I've literally wrestled when I was in San Francisco once. I wrestled and my flight was at like 10:15, I think it was. And I was like, and the guy's like, "Oh, you guys are later in the car." I'm like, "Dude, I have a flight." And the show started at 8. They're like, "Oh, you'll get done." And so I think it was like 9:45 after my match ended, and I roll out of the ring and I had sweatpants and I put them over my gear, just put a sweatshirt over my sweaty body. I'm like, to the airport we go. And I was standing there just like caked in sweat because like I couldn't afford to buy a new ticket. and I don't think the promoter really would have done it. So like that is not luxurious. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like because a lot of my older people are like, oh, Mr. Lucky, you get to fly everywhere, and it's like it's not that great, dude. Like, trust me, it's just work. Like you don't get much leisure time. It's like you go and you're like you'd get say if you land at 7:30 in the morning, the promoter will pick you up, and then most likely they'll be like, hey, I'll take you to your hotel for 2 hours, and then we're gonna take you to the venue, and then you do that. Like I remember I was in Detroit and they're like, you're staying with the promoter. I was like, motherfucker. Show ended at 1 a.m. and they didn't get everything torn down until like 2 or 3. And then I'm driving, or then I'm getting ready. I'm gonna catch a flight out of Detroit, and there's like, hey, can you drive the other guy home? He's had a little too much to drink, and I was just like, whatever. And I'm like, what are we gonna do for food? I'm starving. And it's like, oh, we'll decide when we get to the apartment. I was like, okay, whatever. I get to the apartment, everybody's eating Taco Bell, and I'm like, I thought we were gonna have this discussion when we got here. And they're like, why didn't you stop? And I was like, fuck you guys, and I just went to bed. Like, it's like I didn't eat all day because I didn't know where I was at, and then I had to wake up at freaking 8 o'clock in the morning and catch a flight. Like, so I'd get home. Like, I remember I got a cyst on my back because I couldn't properly shower every night, and sometimes like you'd wrestle and put your clothes on and go straight to the flight. Like, so I had a cyst. Like, if you go back to the 2019 Beyond days, or maybe, yeah, 2019, you'd see I always had a Band-Aid on my back. It was because I was covering up a cyst that I was getting from wrestling so much, and I couldn't properly shower after any of that stuff. Like, so like that's one of the mental things, and also like social media. Like, it doesn't matter how jacked or tall or anything you are, or how good of a wrestler you are. Wrestling is the weirdest thing in the world because everybody, like, if you could be revered as the greatest wrestler that's ever existed, and somebody walk like, nah, that guy fucking sucks. Oh, he's too small. Like, he's not ripped enough. He's not this. Like, I kind of can ignore it because I don't really give a shit about somebody's opinion, especially online, because they're not going to buy tickets anyways. But over time, like, if you hear it enough, I feel like that's why a lot of wrestlers step away mentally, is because they're constantly getting attacked. Like, and people are like, well, you're in the limelight, you should expect it. It's like, I get that because, that is true. But like where I grew up, it's like if you had nothing nice to say, just don't fucking say it. If I don't like wrestling, I'll just like if someone's like, "Did you watch?" I was like, "It wasn't bad, but it's just not for me." Like, and I go
Yeah.
on my day. But everybody thinks they have to have an opinion with, like, if their opinion is that they don't like it, like, no, I think it fucking sucks. I think you fucking suck. I think you look like shit. I've heard people like say that I'm one of the worst fucking wrestlers I've ever seen in my life, and that's okay. But guess what? William Regal liked me, and so did John Moxley. So like, I don't know who I'm supposed to believe. Random wrestling fan or John Moxley and William Regal. But like that is the big thing. It kind of fucks with you sometimes mentally. But you just have, if you can learn to block it out, it's easy. Sometimes it has gotten to me, but like most time, just like, okay, cool, dude. That's your opinion.
So when things do get to you like that, or whether bookings slow down, or just when things get rocky in the business, what helps to keep you grounded throughout it all outside of the ring?
I think it's the amount of support I have. Like, I am very critical. Like, and one reason also, like, why I don't let people's shit get to me is because if somebody says, "Oh, Tony, you suck at wrestling," chances are I probably agree with you. Like, I think very low of myself, and I've always been that way. So like, you're not offending me by saying I suck, because we're on the same page there, brother. And if you say I'm too skinny, trust me, I agree with you there too. It never really, it never got to me. You know, so I have a really great fucking support system. Like, so like I'll always be like, if I'm always down, I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm a good wrestler. Then fucking the next day, I'll be talking to my dad, and my dad's like, oh, and this is a true story. My dad was at the doctor's office, and he was taking his friend in because like his friend can't get around very well. And the doctor saw my dad's name, and he's like, Deppen, are you by any chance related to that wrestler, Tony Deppen?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's my son." And he's like, "Are you fucking?" He's like, "I am so honored to meet you." He's like, "My son and I watch wrestling all the time, and we love watching Tony." And I'm just like, so like sometimes I'm gonna say I suck, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually making a bond between a father and a son." Like, and then like now the dad's excited, a doctor nonetheless, is just like super stoked to meet my dad, and my dad is tickled by that, and so is my wife, because there are people, she's in the banking industry, people come in and they say something about wrestling, she brings me up, all of a sudden it's, "Oh, Tony's your husband? That's awesome." Like, her and I were out at a bar once, or a brewery once, and somebody walked up to her like, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you know that you're with like a guy that's kind of like a famous professional wrestler?" And she's like, "Unfortunately, that guy is my husband." And he's just like, "Are you serious? Oh my God, like that's so cool." And then like also this weekend, um, I got asked by my father, because my dad's involved in a lot of social clubs back home. And once again, small town, not much goes on. But the thing is about small town people is like, when any of us win, we all win. Like we're like, "Oh, like somebody's from Shamokin, that's me." That's our mentality there. And there's like only a handful of notable alumni, people from my school and stuff like that. Like, because they just based off of Wikipedia. So like, don't think I submitted myself as a notable alum, because I'm not even in my senior yearbook, for Christ's sakes. So, and my dad's like, "Hey, they want to announce you as a notable alumni from Shamokin, because they're doing like an anniversary thing that we do every year, like a heritage festival, something like that." I'm like, the city I grew up wants to do something like that for me? Holy shit! It's like that's cool. Like, so like that's what really keeps me grounded. And I'm just like, oh, despite what somebody might think, there are more people that think the opposite that way. So I just say fuck it and put my head back down and like go forward and do my best. So that's all I really can do at this point. Can't keep up with half these kids, are so good.
So is there anything that you are still trying to prove yourself while you still have time left in the business?
Yeah. It sucks because it's like day one, it wasn't even on my fucking radar. Like, it's like, don't even think about it, because it's virtually impossible. And that's to get signed.
I
And
promise I'm still here. My camera just froze for some reason.
that's okay. But it was like to get signed, because I've done everything already that like I remember when I first started catching steam, I had like a little dream list, and it was like wrestle CZW, wrestle in 3 different states, small stuff like that. And then one was like, I think the last big one was like wrestle in front of 5,000 people, and I've done that, and I was just like, there's nothing left. Like, yeah, like there are more countries to visit and stuff like that, but like if like milestones, I'm like, there's not much to do. And also, like, I think it was just because like I was doing this for so long, and I kept missing so much of like my personal life stuff. I was just like, I need this for me. Like, this isn't like the getting signed thing. It's has nothing to do without anybody else. Like, I think it's just like, I have to do this for me. Like, like even if it was like a year contract, and then the next year is like, peace out. Like, I'm like, I did it. Like, I think that's the only thing. I'm just like, I think I still think I can do it, but it'll be just for me, because I'm like, I did everything else for everybody else for so long. I helped out this guy, I helped that guy, I helped this promotion. It's like, no, it's actually time for me to just be like, Tony, get your moment of sun. Like, that's all I kind of want. If it happens,
So,
great. If it doesn't, oh well.
so what kind of impact do you want to leave, whether it be on the fans or promoters or other workers themselves?
Um, so I think one thing with me is like, I know there are some people there are some people who disagree with me, and I really don't care. But a lot of people think I'm a very nice person. They've always deemed me as a very helpful person. Like the gatekeeper thing, like in wrestling, that's just based off of like I'm willing to help these kids. And like, yeah, you have to have a match, but that's me helping the kids develop where they should be placing things, where they should be doing something different here. Like, and like I always just want everybody to take is like it's okay to be, selfless. Like it's okay. Like you will get farther by being selfish. That is true, but selfless. That like you're somebody there that everybody's like, oh no, I actually would like to work him. Like if they put an option between you and another guy, like give me Tony because you're like he'll work with me. Like he won't pull his vet card, which I could have done multiple times. Where I'm like, no, we're gonna do it my way. I'm always just like, hey, take a Jack Cartwheel for example, because I love working Jack. I'm like, Jack, what do you like? What do you do? And he's like this. I'm like, well, how do you do this? I'm like, what if we turn it here, but then do it here, but then stack here? And he's like, oh, I didn't think about that, boy. But he'll throw something back to me that way, and we just like bounce ideas. You could tell the people that I couldn't bounce ideas with because the match was just like flat. But like, if you're seeing me like combine their style with like the way I wrestle, it's that I can work with this person every day. Like Jungle Boy, um, I always had great chemistry with Jake Atlas, who don't wrestle anymore. Jack Cartwheel, um, Jordan Oliver, like guys like that, because I can collaborate with them, and I think that likes to rub off on them when I see they're wrestling newer kids. Are like, oh cool, let's give them more. And I think we need more of that, and all like just also people like being sincere and nice. Like I can be an asshole, and I'll gladly admit that, but that's only when I have to be. Like I don't like to be an asshole, despite my wrestling character. Like I'm always just like, hey, like I'm like, when the new kids are wrestling in a scramble, I'm sitting there watching. I'm watching the entire match, and then they'll come back, and I'm like, hey, like this was awesome because like I believe you can find something good in everything bad. Like it doesn't matter. Like everything can be bad in the match, but I'm like, no way, whoa. You thought everything to the T was almost, but man, right here, you did this great. Like so, I'll pull the kids aside and do that, and that's something I don't see often. So like, I really hope the kids that I'm doing that to, they do that. Like if I can leave that to like a positive impact with wrestling, that's that's pretty cool with me. Like I don't really have any grand scheme goals. I'm just happy to be wrestling because it's something I love and I always will. So like I want to try to leave it a little bit better, which the way I found it, it's a hell of a lot better now.
You can
That
say
is for
that.
sure.
And even to touch base on that with a more recent match you've had, I know she isn't exactly new anymore, but she's new to the GCW scene a little bit. But your match with Gabby a couple weeks ago, just to see you work with so many different people and so many different styles, whether it be male or female, you have solid matches with every person you step in the ring with. And can't say that about a lot of people out there nowadays.
Yeah, that's what I've always been known for. It's like if you can't pull like anything out of him, no, like it's a no go. Like, but like I know if somebody has talent, I can pull it out. I'm like, one of it was like when I made my debut in Italy, I wrestled a guy named LG, and I was like, L, what do you do? He's like, whatever you want to do. I was like, no. I was like, what do you do? He's like, just start naming some stuff. I'm like, and I stop. I'm like, I'm gonna tell you this right now, dude. If you fucking make me plan this match like this, I'm gonna be miserable, and I'm gonna have a terrible fucking time. I was like, so please, what do you do? And it seemed like that wall came down, and him and I were spitting ideas back and forth. Fucking great match, and it's probably one of my favorite matches of that year that I had. I was like, everything clicked to that match. I was fucking happy. He's actually debuting for GCW and over Milan because I was like, Brett, I'm like, I work this kid. People could pull stuff. It's him and KJ, which I messaged LG. I was like, I see your KJ. I was like, that's gonna be a lot of fun.
So, when all is said and done, what would you need to define your career as successful?
See, that's such a subjective thing. What is success? because in day one Tony's eyes, I'm extremely successful. It's like, dude, you got to make a living off of wrestling for a couple of years. You actually made money wrestling. You got to go to Japan. Stuff like that. But I'm trying to lower my standards of success because I think that really affected me back in 2022 and 2023. It made me very jaded because I was just like, oh, everything revolved around getting signed. And I was like, oh, contract, 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 contract. And I know some of the Ring of Honor guys out with my buddies are like, Tony, you need to shut the fuck up about that. They're like, I get it. I was just like, but I think it was so difficult because everybody was in my ear saying, oh, you're getting signed. You're getting signed. I was supposed to be signed by Ring of Honor 3 times and it just never happened. So like, and then I did some matches. And then after Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, I did a few stuff. And the one day Tony Khan was like, hey, Tony, I want you for a lot of these East Coast dates. And I was just like, maybe I'm going to get a match on TV. I was just like, holy shit. I was like, let's go, let's go. And things just didn't work out in my favor, like, because, shows just get booked differently. So there was no hard feelings, but I did all those shows. And I got like 3 minutes, if that, squash matches. Like, so I was driving out, and I made good money, and they took care of me differently than others because, I had the Ring of Honor logo on me and stuff still. So I didn't get anything out of it, and I was just like, motherfucker, again. And then I did the one time I sang, like, I always talk to Tony Khan, like, despite what anybody wants to ever say about him, like, he has been great with me. Like, he remembers my name all the time. Every time he stops me, he sees and talks to me.
You share a name. How can he forget
Yeah,
that?
Well, the first time I met him, somebody's like, "Hey, Tony, this is Tony," and Tony Khan goes, "Tony Deppen," and I was just like, "Oh yeah, how you doing?" But like, he'll walk by, if he'll and like, and I'm not a signed guy. He'll walk by and stop and see me. He's like, "Hey, Tony, how you doing?" Like, always been great. And I always made sure to thank him every time I seen him because he doesn't need to give me extra money and all that stuff. And I was like, "Hey, I want to thank you." I'm like, he's like, "Oh, I would really like to see a little bit more of you, Tony." He's like, we're doing Ring of Honor tapings in Dark Match down in Orlando, and at the time I couldn't afford to go. I was like, I can't afford to do a flight down to Orlando, sir. And he looks, I forget who he looks over, and he laughs. He was like, "You hear this guy? He thinks I'm going to make him fly himself down." He's like, "Meet with Bryce," and Bryce has been a good buddy of mine for a couple years. So you can meet up with Bryce. Bryce will get you a ticket. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I did all that, and I remember fucking what? Christopher Daniels. I got there late from because I had a show in California the one night, and then I flew straight to Orlando, and I got there so late, and I'm rolling in, and CD was just like, "Deppen, we got to get you some wins," and somebody's like, "Tony, when they say that means they're gonna sign you." I was like, "Oh, cool!" Like, I was like super excited, and then 2.5 weeks later, I broke my arm, so I was just like, "Damn it!" So I got a little jaded with that shit for a while. Sorry, that's like a tangent because but it's like they all kind of just like pulled in together on the way I feel about so like I want to get away from that type of thought of what my success is. Like, I'm trying to make my success experiences. Like, I went to Pittsburgh a couple months ago, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go to a Pirates game?" Because I'm a big Pirates fan. And they're like, I was like, "Hell yeah!" And they're like, "Tickets are on us. Let's go." And I was just like, and then I'm sitting there watching my favorite baseball team for my entire life, and I was like, somebody paid for me to come to this game, basically. I was like, and I got paid too. I was like, this rules. Like, and then I just recently did Italy for the 3rd time and stuff like that, and just like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, damn, I was like, this rules. Like, so like that's what I'm trying to make my success now. So I don't really have a definitive end game for success. It's just keep having those experiences.
All right. Well, that is all of the big beefy questions I got for you, but let's get to know who Tony is a little bit more. So, If you could instantly become the best in the world at one random hobby, what would it be?
Probably playing piano. I'm a big music person.
Huh. So, any fast food restaurant is willing to give you the Tony Deppen value meal. Which fast food place are you choosing and what comes in the meal?
I'm gonna go Taco Bell. Like my wife and I were in the finals to get married, be the first people married at the Taco Bell wedding chapel back in 2017. So, and we got our engagement photos at Taco Bell. And my mom was a manager in Taco Bell at 1993. So, like, it's in my blood, basically. So, I would probably have a 5-layer burrito in there, a Nacho Bel Grande with no jalapenos, please. Um, a soft taco with sour cream and some cinnamon twists with whatever size drink you want. To be honest, I'm not a
Okay.
soda guy. I lost my taste, but I lost my soda taste during COVID, and
Ugh.
I still like now. Soda just tastes like dirty ashtray water. It's disgusting. I hate it.
I low key kind of wish
No,
I got that.
no, because sometimes I want a crisp Pepsi. Like just one. Like I didn't drink a lot of soda to begin with, but now I just want one, and I can't have it because it tastes like shit.
I'm a Coke girl. I can't imagine
I
hating
love
Coke.
Coke. I love Coke too, though. So like I didn't. There's no preference to like I had my preference on like if I went somewhere like McDonald's, they have great Coke, and Pepsi I always drink out of the cans more, So like it's just where I drank it out of. But sometimes I miss both either of them, and I can't have it.
All right. So you are booked for a show and you have to drive. You can't fly. It's going to be a long one, but you can only listen to 5 bands or artists along the way. Who are we listening to?
The Menzingers, because that's one of my favorite bands of all time. Because I've been seeing them for like 21 years because they're from my area. And that has a very large discography, so I could play a lot. Meatloaf, I've always really loved Meatloaf. I don't know why. Like that's like my guilty pleasure, I guess. Damn, this is difficult. Probably a emo pop punk band called Hot Mulligan. So there's
I know
3.
them.
They're big wrestling fans. I've got to know Brandon, the drummer. He's fucking awesome guy. Shit, this is difficult. The Wonder Years probably because they have a large discography that I can go through. And let me do something. I would say Black Flag,
All
probably.
right.
'Cause that's a large. They have a large discography as well, and I need something a little more rough after all that pop punk and stuff.
And going back to bands that are into wrestling, I had the chance to meet I Prevail, and back in 2018 I want to say they went on their first headlining tour and the stage was actually a wrestling ring. And
Yeah,
the whole tour was like wrestling themed. It was
a lot
probably
of
one
those
of my favorite shows.
a lot of those bands are into wrestling, like Real Friends, the Front Bottoms. I knew Newfound Glory is.
Yep.
Uh, I don't know. I just keep getting like I got a message from the guys from Real Friends like we're friends, and I was just like, dude, I've been listening to you guys since I was like 23. Holy hell! And like, can we
Yeah.
send you some merchandise? I was like, sure. So like it's funny because like and also Brandon from Hot Mulligan, like they'll talk to me about wrestling, but I'll be like music, like so like we just bounce off of each other because all we want to learn about is what they're doing. And they're like, "No, what are you up to?" I was like, "No, I don't give. No, I don't get that. Let's not talk about wrestling. Let's talk about you're on this. You're on a tour with this band. So it's really cool to see that."
All right. If you could enter any reality show and think you'd have a chance at winning it, what reality show would you choose?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm because like fear factor, I'd die because I have to eat like a cockroach and shit. That's disgusting. I don't like bugs, despite me being from a mountain town. I don't like bugs. Um, Survivor maybe because that's just like I have to put up with people, right? Like I have to be on an island with them. Are there
Yeah.
games? Like I think I could put up with people because I can get along with anybody. Like it's very easy. I think that helps from working with wrestling, and I'm in the beer industry, which is just talking to people. So I think I could do well in I think I could do well in Survivor. Not the Amazing Race because I don't know. Yeah, because I like none of those bachelor shows do it for me. I and plus I'm married too, so I don't think I'd fare well there at that point. Yeah, final answer Survivor.
All right. And last one. What is something people assume about you, but they could not be more wrong about?
Um, I've gotten like two of these things. I got that I'm an actually like I'm an asshole. There, like I said, there are people like they've said that people say I'm an asshole, but like I've never heard anybody tell me I'm an asshole. Like like I am a big. I'm not a big cuddly bear, but I'm a cuddly bear. Like I love my children to death. I love my wife. You know, I see fans out. Like if I go to concerts and stuff like that, they're like Tony Deppen. I was like, yeah, what's up? And I was like, I'll shoot the shit with them. Like I was at a beer fest this past weekend, and there's a wrestling fan there, and I was like, sit down, have some beers with us. Like I'm a very welcoming person. Like, and I've always been that way. Like, well, not really. I feel like wrestling's unlocked my hippie side of life, where I'm just like, oh, I love everybody. Great job. Like, cool, dude. Like, sit down, have a conversation. But like, people always would probably assume I might be an asshole because the way I look, or that I'm like, because after everybody talks to me, they're like, you are a very easy person to talk to. I was like, I tend to think that, I like to think that at least. Then probably I've had a lot of people think that like because the way I do look, like I've always been black rim glasses and short hair. Well, I've been short hair since 2006. Um, they assume that I'm somebody who comes from some type of money, and like I don't listen to music I listen to. Like they're like, I'll let them know I'm music I listen to, and they'll be like, wait, what, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, that's pretty much all I listen to, and they're like, I didn't take you for that. And then I look like I look proper. I don't look dirty. No offense when I looks dirty, but I just don't look. I'm very clean. I've always liked to be very clean, but some people think I come from any form of money, but in reality, I grew up serious, like very poor, like light shut off poor, water poor, stuff like that. No Christmas. It's like I was like, oh, you must have came from some money because you could do this. I was like, because like I was able to quit my job wrestling or quit my full time job just to wrestle. And they're like, oh, you must have some parents to help you out. I was like, no. I was like, my parents are in their 60s and still working. Like, yeah, like there's no money from my family. Like I was just very fortunate when I quit my job and I was making really good money wrestling like 20 times a month. It sucked, but I was still doing it. But I always feel like those two things people always think that I might be an asshole and I might come from money and I listen to shitty music, which I don't listen to shitty music, in my opinion.
All right. Well, that is everything I have for you, Tony. Thank you again for joining us. And for those viewing, if you have any upcoming shows, where can we find you? And if you are not in our area, where can we find you on social media?
Next weekend I'm in Wisconsin for We Love Wrestling. It's me, Neil Diamond Cutter, and Hoodfoot. Then I'm doing Lancaster in June. That's going to be with Three Legacies. Then I have a few that's not announced yet. I'm still waiting for them to be announced. Also on August 29th, I'll be in LA. First time back in LA in like 3 years, so I'm really excited about that. And now I'm just chipping away at seeing like I'm a firm believer I have to earn back what I want. Next, I'll take whatever booking I can get at this point and start climbing my way back up.
Alrighty. Well, thank you again for joining us. And that is all we have for you. But we will be back next week with 4 new episodes, potentially more. But starting off next week, we will be live at 3 a.m. because Vic Craig will be joining us live from New Zealand.
Jeez.
After that, we will be live at 1 p.m. with Brock Hall on Thursday. After Brock Hall, we will be live with Tara Zepp at 2 p.m. And later on in the evening, we will have Blair on it. That is next week's lineup, and that is everything we got for you this week. So thank you to everybody viewing at home. Thank you again to Tony for joining us, and we will catch you next week.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.